Thank you so much for joining us here on Leadership TV. I am Cynthia Onwado and I have Adefolari Olamilekon here with me. Thank you so much for joining me. It's the D-Day, of course, of End Bad Governance Protest 2024, and we've seen citizens of Nigeria from across the 36 states and the FCT taking their grievances out on the streets to let the government know that there is hunger. But of course, exempting some parts of the Southeast, looking at the enforced sit at home. Of course, there are reports of citizens not being seen on the streets of Owerri and some other parts of the southeast. Let's take a look at some of the reports that we've gotten on the streets of Nigeria today for the End Bad Governance protest. And of course, we'll be getting reports from our correspondents and on some of Nigerian citizens down the street, but that will be coming subsequently. But before that, let's have a discussion on why we are even having this protest today. Nigerians are aggrieved. They said there's hunger. They said there's poverty. There's lack of food. So many things have gone wrong. Of course, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have pleaded continuously and saying we need more time. But of course, do the people have patience for that? Government after government, we see presidents come in and leave with the same promises. Polari, what do you think about the
I think it's quite sad that successive government over the years have been able to put Nigerian economy in the right shape, whereby what we are suffering today is the fundamental issues of many, many years. But that should be an excuse for the current government, because I see the current government having the opportunity to fix some of the challenges that we have today. But due to their anti-people's policy, anti-poor people policy, majority of the challenges that we had in the past, I think they just resurrected overnight. Particularly the issue
that means they have been there for the past years.
Yes, but if a modest history of Nigeria will go back to 1999. And since 1999, we expected Nigeria to move away from this poverty-driven society that we have, but it has not happened. And because of that, what we are experiencing right now is because the current government, when they resume governance in May 29 last year, they're supposed to have taken into cognizance the kind of policy they're supposed to be giving out for the people. Particularly talking about the fuel subsidy that they removed. The advice that have been put out there before the government was that fix the refinery before you pull out subsidy removal. But the government was like, no, let us do this one first. Then they went to the issue of forex. And the forex issue affected all price of goods and services and also jack up the inflation in the country. Although we agree that they want to close down all the corruption within the forex market, whereby we have 11 different unofficial markets where people are trading currency. But guess what? Even though the government have closed down all those 11 markets, we now have two markets, NAFEM and NAFEX. Upon that, there is still corruption within that circle of our forex market. And that also means that the transmission of international price in terms of currency exchange, naira value, has made price of goods and services to go up. So
definitely,
this two-part policy of the government is what has triggered the current situation. On the part of insecurity, we know the government have been spending so much on insecurity, but we have not gotten results for that. There's still farmers' elders clashes, there's banditry, there's kidnapping. So put together insecurity, bad policy of subsidy removal, as well as the government not understanding the forex market need to be put in a way that Nigerians can benefit from it. Rather, it is just few Nigerians that are benefiting from our forex market. So these are the things that have led to the protest today. So that's why people are shouting hunger. Hunger can be related to there's no food in the house, there's no money in the pocket. Even the salaries that people are collecting.
Hunger can be related to you not feeling secure.
Exactly. And one work on the street because people are hijacking people. They're collecting people's phone, they're collecting people's bag. There's one chance vehicle in Abuja and other parts of the country. So these are the things that have led to the challenges that are found to us. So if Nigerians are on the street, they are showing their grievances. They are showing that they are not happy with government policy. Not particularly President Tinubu, but the policy that he has taken so far in terms of trying to say you want to drive Nigeria economy to be better. And that's why we have found ourselves today. So Nigerians are on the street showing their grievances, showing their annoyance with the government that your policy is not working. Not that they hate you as the president, but the policy you have put in place is anti-people. It's an anti-progress of Nigerians in terms of economic development and growth. And that's why we are on the street.
Okay, I know you've tried to put everything in a nutshell, but let's take a look one after the other at the demands of protesters. The first that comes with that is reduction in fuel price, as a reduction in high food items, reduction of high cost of governance, tackling insecurity, and in food production areas and tackling farmer prices. These are some of the demands. There are a lot of demands. We'll just try to press them down to these five, but then we'll take them one after the other. Let's begin now with the most pertinent of all of that, which is the reduction in fuel prices. We know the fuel prices affects every sphere of governance when it comes to food, when it comes to security. The fuel subsidy removal has something to do with every part of the economy, and that's the most pertinent of these demands. We've seen when the government of President Bola Tinubu came into power in May 1st of 2023, one of the major things he declared was removal of the fuel subsidy. But of course, we thought a great change was going to come from that, because it was said that corruption had eaten deep into the petroleum industry. Talking about with the fuel subsidy, not much difference was seen. Even when the subsidy is taken away, we get to see that not much is done with the funds, with the federal government and the NNPC going at lockerheads and not coming to a common ground. So right now the citizens are saying, you moved the fuel subsidy, we didn't still see any difference. So why don't you just take it back to where you met it? Why don't you take it back to where you met it before? We remember that former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan also talked about removing the fuel subsidy, but he was clamped down, by some major key players. Our president, Bola Tinubu, was actually one of those people who spoke against it. But it's funny that in 2023, he did quite the exact same thing he kicked against. So right now, we would want you to shed more light on this particular issue. We've seen Aliko Dangote and his refinery also. We've seen the drama that have come out of that. What are we going to do? Where are we going to find the light at the end of the tunnel? What are they doing wrong?
The issue is this. Many of us want fuel subsidy to go. Many of us also call that the refineries must work. Now, many Nigerians may not understand the issues around the fuel subsidy, because technically, no country will be subsidizing in a way that it will be eating deep into the revenue of the government. Because what we have been able to understand is that in as much as we have the fuel subsidy, money that the government is supposed to be using to be doing some developmental projects, the fuel subsidy is consuming it. And just like rightly mentioned, the corruption within that circle, the mystery around it, that even the people in government find it difficult to understand, or because they are part and parcel of the problem, they cannot be able to find solutions to it. So the Nigerian people.
So we are talking about the individuals, the key players in the oil and gas sector, the petroleum industry. They have, they are making things difficult.
They are making things difficult in the sense that they have understood that sector to be a sector that is very juicy, that even the people in government find it very difficult to understand. So they are taking advantage of it. And the reason is because we are not refining our product by ourselves. Our 4 national refineries are not working. If our 4 national refineries are working, nobody will be talking about fuel subsidy. And because the people in government from 1999 did not make the refinery to work, to the point that at the time they wanted to sell those refineries, but a new government came and reversed the sale. Get it? So they have understood that if the refineries are not working, the issue about fuel subsidy will continue. But when this current government came in, they say, no, we are not going to be doing fuel subsidy. We are allowed to go. They will be paying for the real price of fuel. But the issue is Nigerians don't want that kind of technicality, because they are too technical for people to understand. All Nigerians want is accessible and affordable fuel.
Well,
but if you are not making it affordable, jargon, they don't want to hear it. That's why
not really interest them.
Yes, now because the more language, more grammar you are speaking, the more Nigerians get confused. You are saying refineries are not working. You are saying fuel subsidy. Now you are saying importation of fuel. So which one should we go for? And to Nigerians, when you continue fuel subsidy, they see the accessibility of fuel, even though it may be, and they also see the affordability of it, because when government subsidize, you pay less, and they also get to see it. But when government does not subsidize, you pay more. That's what we are facing. Then the other angle is that fix the refinery. They don't want to fix the refinery because it is easy for NNPC and their gang to continue to make us out of our refineries that are not working. So for the Nigerian people, don't worry. We don't even want refinery to work. Bring fuel subsidy, because the moment government bring back fuel subsidy, the refinery will be abandoned for another junket of years. We can't really point it out. So in this regard now, in a short to medium term, the fuel subsidy must come back. That is Nigerian cry. In the sense that when you bring back this fuel subsidy, we don't want to hear whether we have money to build roads. We don't want to. What we want, let it come back. Because even though when you say you are removing it, you are still suffering it. So let it come back. But the danger of it is that before refinery will not keep working, they will are going to have more arms. because a lot of people will now be coming and say they are the one importing fuel. Then the money that government is supposed to put in education, in health, and other aspects, it may be lacking. Although we know that Nigeria has money, and Nigeria is a very rich
Nigeria
country.
is a very rich country.
So
yes.
the other angle which we are going to touch like is other angle that Nigerians have pointed at. Even though we want first subsidy to come back, we can reduce cost of governance. But the cost of governance have its own challenges, to which we are going to elaborate as we discuss.
Okay, talking about the cost of governance right now, we've seen a lot of spendings in this particular administration, and the major particular one that we got to see was a new presidential jet.
Exactly.
That cost more than 9 billion naira. That cost quite a lot of opera. But apart from that, the amount of appointments, we've seen a lot of senior special assistants. All of these people would have their own salary structure and all of that. Yes. So we get to see a lot of spendings that are not really quite accounted for. This was one of the promises of the government. They said that when they come into power, they would actually reduce the cost of government. But majorly, that presidential jet, we really don't understand where that came from.
It's quite sad.
Let's take a look at the senators and all the bills and all the money that they go home with. For doing what? Let's take a look at that.
You know, the cost of governance, a technical aspect of it. When we talk about cost of governance, we're talking about the entire budgeting system.
Money spent.
Now, in the budgeting system, there are some frivolous spending that we don't want. And there are some official spending that we also don't consider to be right at this point in time. Like the official jet they bought for the president. It was considered that the 4 jet that is available are already old, that they don't want plane crash for the president. That's what they are going for.
But the last how many presidents that have made use of these jets? And by the special grace of God, we are not spraying something bad for our dear president. But what I really cannot wrap my head around the need for a new private jet. And speaking about the entire existing ones being old and non-repairable.
Exactly.
I don't see so much logic in that really.
Very good. You know, one thing is that, as I earlier said, there are some official costs or official budgeting that the law has stipulated must be done. Now, buying private jet for the president was against the right thinking of Nigeria. Nobody supported that particular idea. But on the part of government, it has to be done. So these are the things that we want itemized that we don't want it to be done, particularly these ones that are frivolous, because to many Nigerians and to my own perspective, it is a frivolous spending. How can you be buying 9 billion jets? You have 4. Out of the 4, 1 is practically working. So the fear was that one that is working, maybe very soon it will also pack up. So what happens to the 4? Is there any way we can sell those 4 and use that money to buy the jet, or instead of picking money from what would have been the money that would have been in the port that would be used for better things? So that's why Nigerians are against that particular private jet. The other aspect that Nigerians are against in terms of cost of governance is numbers of appointment. You did mention that earlier. The salaries of these numbers of appointment is very huge. Take for instance in National Assembly, a member of National Assembly is entitled to about 4 to 6 aides that will be working for him or her, and they'll be paid salary. Then this National Assembly guys took what they call 166 million jeep. Each one of them, although not all of them, collect some monetize their own. They collected the money and went and buy smoker. But that amount of money is also what is making the higher cost of governance to be very high. So when we're not talking about higher cost of governance, although when we speak on the broader perspective, it affects the entire budgetary system. But what we are trying to point out is the specific one that we know that it is not necessary. Like the having so much aid, appointment of aid, having so much money that we'll be spending on frivolous things like what they call it, the SUV for National Assembly members, then buying new plane jets for the president, then do some ceremonial activity that doesn't add more to the Nigerian economy or to Nigerian. Those are the aspects of cost of governance that we want to be reduced. Organizing summits and seminars and conferences that doesn't add to the economy is also high cost of governance that we need to reduce. But the issue is this: to reduce cost of governance in Nigeria, we have to review laws that support budgetary allocation to some of these things. If we don't review it, if we continue shouting reduce cost of governance, it will not work.
To just fall on deaf ears. Okay, let's tackle 2 particular demands that have something to do with each other. That is the need to tackle insecurity in food production areas and reduction in high food items. It also has something to do with tackling farmer header crisis. These demands are interconnected because we have insecurity, especially ravaging the northeast of Nigeria, and even the southern parts of Nigeria have also recorded some banditry activities. So vis-a-vis activities of farmers in their farms, and the fact that these farmers are scared for their lives and cannot go on with the constant food production and farming and planting and all of that in order not to be kidnapped or attacked by bandits. So these particular demands are intertwined. But then over the years, for the past 15 years now, Nigeria have been battling banditry and terrorist activities. And it always seems that a lot of allocations are made to security, but we don't really see a lot of difference. Right now, some of these problems we have in Nigeria, we cannot say they are directly connected to the president. I mean, there's so much the president can do. He has allocated funds for these particular problems to be solved. But then again, we get to see these problems still existing, but the money is nowhere to be found. What can we say is the reason for this when it comes to security and the fact that this has not been nipped in the bud? I know it's a continuous process, right? We cannot say that you throw out a bullet, forgive my words, and all of the bandits in Nigeria now would fall. It's a continuous process because it's an ideology, like a moving ideology. We have the active Boko Haram sect. We have the ISWAP from the Lake Chad Basin in Borno down to other parts of Niger and Cameroon. So it's an ongoing thing. You are battling a wide network of terrorists. But then again, even this as allocations are made, we don't really get to see so much difference. And it affects food production in Nigeria. So when something comes to a point where it affects food, then we have a problem.
Exactly. I think to start with, to understand the budget allocation to our security sector, one of the challenges we have had over the years is that when money are budgeted with the federal allocation sector, like the 2024 budget, they are taking a chunk of 2.5 trillion naira. I think with the increase in budget allocation, because the current budget has been jacked up to 34 trillion naira as a result of the 6.2 trillion that the president just asked to be added to it. Now the security alone is taking about 4 trillion naira. Now this is where the problem lies. When we give them this money here, we don't ask them for their account. Although they will say they buy equipment, they train their personnel, they buy so hardware, but where are they? Do we see them? So that's why the result of what we are having in security architecture in Nigeria does not resonate or correspond to the amount we are spending yearly on security. So we spend so much that we get little results. And again, the security issue does not boil down to federal government. It also boils down to state and local government.
State and local government.
Exactly. Because over the years, we are always focused on the federal government. Although the federal government has control over national security and the rest of the part of the country. But the focus has been on them, and what the state governors are also doing, nobody is questioning what they are doing in terms of security. Although some regions have established the regional militancy or regional security
exactly to tackle and all of that. Yes. So
exactly to tackle
like in the west, we have the Amotekun.
In the southeast, we have the Egbetekun.
But there's so much those little small vigilantes can do.
Exactly. Because
there's so much they can do because they're just a small unit.
Exactly. Although we know one thing about security is that the first thing anybody can tell you to tackle, they say it needs funding, consistent funding. And Nigeria has not fallen short of that. We have always been pushing money. But where the money goes and where they don't give account, we don't know. If account has been given transparently, okay, the 4 trillion that will be given for 2024 budgetary allocation for security, this is what we have done. This is the reserve. This is what we have achieved. People can measure it. But we don't do that in Nigeria because of the fear. Because there are some NGOs, even National Assembly, have asked the military, this amount of money you have spent, where is it? What did you do? You discover that everybody will jittering, and before you know, they will close the chapter. But the question lies that if we don't ask the right question on what we have been doing with the security funding, then we may not get the answer. The other problem has to do with the intelligence of what we are doing with the intelligence we are gathering on all the field and area of insecurity in Nigeria. Like the farmers' herders crisis now. It has been established that because of lack of grazing land, herders move into farmland and they eat up what has been planted. But intelligence also shows that if grazing reserves are demarcated for others, That means people who are training cows, and if they have where they can be keeping their cow, it will also be better for them. But where is the land to give to cow owners?
To the owners, cow
So
like a cattle ranch.
Ranch area. So the issue are so complicated to the point that not that the government don't have solutions to some of these things, because it has now become an entrepreneurship avenue whereby security has now become where people make money from. Now that's why some people don't want it to go. These are easy issues that can be easily solved because it is this national
no
challenges.
matter how hard the problem is, there are people that are gaining.
Very well. There is no problem that people are not. Even the protests that we're having today, people are gaining. People are making money out of it. People are both on government side and the people conducting the protest.
Okay, we'll be having one of our correspondents, Isaiah Benjamin, join us shortly to give us a breakdown of what is happening at the protest. He'll be joining us shortly on the show. But let's take a look at you right now saying that some people benefit from some of the problems. Talking about this protest. As much as we want to complain about President Bola Tinubu and the fact that most of his plans he laid out on May 1st have not been actualized, it's almost like dancing around without any result. I want to take a look at delegation. I know that he's allocating money to ministries, departments, and agencies. He's delegating duties. But we don't really see a difference. What is really happening? Okay, we have Isaiah right now joining us to give us a breakdown on the protest right there from the ground. Let's get to hear from Isaiah and know what is happening. Hello, Isaiah.
Yeah, very good afternoon.
Hello, Isaiah. Can you let us know what's happening right now at the protest ground?
Oh yes, very good afternoon. If you can hear, the protest started.
Hello, Isaiah. Can you hear us?
Very peacefully from the very onset. It was initially assumed, but of course, can you hear me? Hello?
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very well. Okay, like I was saying, the protest actually. Okay, very well. The protest actually started at about 9 o'clock with few youths coming out. And sooner than you know, the whole streets of Kaduna was taken over, particularly within the Kaduna metropolis, with a large number of youths coming out, singing all manner, chanting all manner of songs, carrying out all manner of placards, drums, megaphones, leaves, and all manner of instruments used in passing across their messages, and the inscriptions on some of their placards read, hand has shaped with some fire subsidy, no to bad governance, among several others. Of course, like I said, it started peacefully, but as it gets towards the government house, some youths allege that there were infiltration of sponsored other youths to begin to carry out some level of attack on government facilities. Now, this again prompted the security personnel to begin to use tear gas to disperse the youth. But despite the use of the tear gas, the youth refused to be deterred. They kept gathering in their large numbers, ensuring that the government must listen to them. But it was relatively peaceful, I can say, for Kaduna State, and I can report authoritatively that the turnout was very massive.
In Kaduna, right there, tell us the situation when it comes to security agencies around the protest ground, and if you've noticed any violent activity. Are there also?
Okay, yeah, no, I think in terms of security, I wish to say categorically that the security personnel were very civil. Civil because most of them were seen largely around roundabouts in the city, in the metropolis, peacefully. And some were also seen, in trucks following the protesters, apparently to ensure law and order is maintained. But like I said, towards the government house, when some few youths, which were alleged to have been sponsored to make it look as if the protest was going violent, began to attack some few facilities of government, then the security personnel within the government house were forced to use tear gas to disperse them. But like I said, all they did was to leave that area of the government house, and the protest in several other areas is ongoing. But of course, as at this moment, there is no report whatsoever of any other violent protest. It's been very peaceful, very orderly, because they have leaders that were coordinating the young ones to ensure that they do not carry out any form of attack. But for security personnel, they have actually every nook and cranny of the state. You will see security personnel stationed. Yesterday, they engaged in a show of force where they went around the entire state to be sure that that the state is peaceful and that no form of violent protest will be tolerated. But I can tell you for free that around the Sabo area, Rigachuku, Rigasa, Kau, and all of the areas where I drove around this morning personally to ensure that they are properly monitored, there are security presence virtually everywhere. And they were well coordinated. They weren't attacking anybody. They weren't harassing any protester whatsoever. Except
right,
the one
you,
that
Isaiah.
happened.
But on the other note, have you noticed any protest against protester? Anybody countering or any third party?
Okay, yeah, well, no. Yeah, for Kaduna, we don't see that. There is no protest against protesters in Kaduna as we speak. The protesters so far that we have seen are very any form of intimidation whatsoever. At least this is up to the period of what we have observed. This is what the situation is now. But anything short of that is not available at the moment. There are no protests against the protesters. We have protesters well organized, and they are going about their protests in very peaceful manner. Of course, I heard a number of them said tomorrow they will still come out again in their large numbers again. And basically, all is about shouting hunger in the land, end bad governance, return fuel subsidy, we are dying and all of that. But aside all those chanting of songs, dancing, playing, of course, there are enough of other few young ones that have taken to the street playing football and all of that. But believe me, there are no protests against protesters in Kaduna as we speak, as at this moment. And all the protesters are well organized, security personnel strategically located in strategic areas to avoid breakdown of law and order.
From Kaduna, well, it's a peaceful protest in Kaduna, and they are speaking with one voice. Thank you, Isaiah. We're moving on now. See you on the Bad Governance Protest 2024 here on Leadership TV with Cynthia and Defolari. We're still talking about the demands of protesters. But before we got to Isaiah, we're talking about delegation of duties and President Bola Tinubu and his ministers. Key allocations have been done, money have been spent. What comes out of delegation of duties? We know that there are some ministers that are, quite proactive and making that, ministry what it's supposed to be and making out of it what they're supposed to make out of it. But there are quite some that we don't really get to see so much for. All right. When we talk about problems in the economy, every single minister, every single person with an appointment is a part of the problem.
Now, one thing about governance is particularly when you look at the ministry department that work with. We have over 40 ministries and several 1,000 plus agencies. I can tell you for free that there are some ministries that what they are doing doesn't have a related impact on people. Say, for instance, Minister of Environment. What do you think the Minister of Environment will do in this regard of hunger?
Okay, the Ministry of Environment is supposed to safeguard
environmental
factors, flooding,
and the rest of them.
And what have you. Fight against the climate change and the flooding that we get.
But those are technical things that ordinary people they don't have understanding. Even when you talk about flooding causing hunger in Nigeria, some people will tell you they don't know how flooding causes hunger.
They don't really have a synergy with the media to inform the public about what they are doing. Or maybe, as you said, they are still very laid back because the layman outside don't even know what the ministry is all about. And even if they are working, Nigerians are not even informed about the work that they are doing and the change and the differences that they are making.
Another ministry that you can also think is Ministry of Water Resources. Other people, like the people on the street now, they don't even know how that ministry policy, the money they are spending in that ministry, how it affects them. But there are some key ministries that you know that this one, every Nigerian know what they are doing. Ministry of Power, Ministry of Agri, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of Works and Housing. These 5 key ministries and health. See these 6 ministries
in recent times, the humanitarian affairs have been one ministry that I feel should be on top of their game right now, but we're not really getting so much from there. A lot of locations have been made to that ministry. We are crying about hunger, but the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs should be on top of their game at this moment, because you are settling the grievances of Nigeria when it comes to hunger and need. But then we don't really get to hear so much from them.
The issue is this. We really need this of humanitarian. A lot of people have answered. It was politically created to cater for the problem that we have in the Northeast. And they did their best at that point. And this was the ministry that was giving people 5,000.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today is the hunger day. We all promised you that we are going to be on the street of Abuja. And hunger has brought me out. I don't have money to buy fuel. I don't have money to buy whatever. There's total bad government. And I think each and every one of us that the government has used propaganda to tell you that the protests are cancelled. Look at us on the street. The protests are not cancelled. We are on the street. It's 10 days. And if our demand is not being made, we will remain on the street till our demand is being made. Hunger has brought me out. Insecurity has brought me out. Poor housing has brought me out. A lot of things that is going on in this country. We can't just keep quiet as a nation. I'm advising every one of us to come out and exercise our fundamental right as a people. My name is Emmanuel Larry.
There has been policy that will be carried out by the agencies. One of the agencies is NNPC, one of the agencies is NNPDR, one of the agencies is NUPI. They have agencies under them. Now, Nigerians expect those ministry and the agencies to be impacting them. Like the issue of refinery they are talking about, that ministry is supposed to be in charge of that refinery, not NNPC. Although we understand the bureaucratic nature around ministry. But if I said it on other situations, this refinery is supposed to be taken out of the NNPC. Let the president constitute a presidential committee in the revival and the reconstruction of the refinery. If that happens, then Nigerians can have a quickly recover and a quickly revival of the refinery. But as long as it is still in the hand of NNPC, they will still be playing the politics of shifting the goalposts of when this refinery becomes a thing. But presidential tax force, just like we have the presidential tax force on CNG, you can see the way that presidential tax force is going up and down, ensuring that CNG assembly plants are located across Nigeria. So that is what we expected. But ministries upon ministries, majority of them, we don't know what they are doing. Apart from the 6 dimensions: health, education, agriculture, power, aviation, as well as road. These are the ministries that most Nigerians know what they are doing. But the rest ministries, nobody knows what they are doing. So it becomes a challenge. Even Minister of Youth and Sport or Minister of Youth that's about to distribute 100 billion to Nigerian youth. Nigerians are the other day I was reading the report. They say over 80,000 naira, every 30,000 Nigerians have applied for the money. And I was asking, the other 70 billion. Is that
a grant or is that a loan or is that?
It's a kind of a credit facility for you to invest in business. But guess what? 70 billion was released to the same ministry to youth in 2023 by Buhari. No youth.
For the same purpose.
For the same purpose.
Wow.
Nobody can give account of that money. Now 100 billion is about to be put, and they say 80,000 youth have applied. And I was wondering, when did they release the portal for the application? When did they? Because
when were these applications made? When were they? When was the application even announced?
Exactly. And ask me, by the time they collect, application from 80,000 people, they will not tell you it's about 20,000 people that got. Just what happened to the other money that was just distributed recently? 200 billion was distributed to nano businesses. small enterprise business and big businesses. 100 billion for big businesses, 50 billion for small business, and 50 billion for nano businesses. But guess what? When thousands of Nigerians apply, you know the people that got that money. Very few. So we must be able to question some of these activities of this ministry, even though the president is releasing money. But the money doesn't get to the right people.
Accounted for, and it doesn't get to the
right people.
The right people.
And when you ask questions, they use all manner of propaganda to ensure that you shut down that report or that investigation that you are doing. So those
Speaking
are the challenges
about
that we have.
the youth right now, we know that the youth are at the forefront of this end bad governance. I watched that movement, take shape from Twitter, of course. The youth being at the forefront of this protest and announcing it. Then from last week to this week, we started noticing a lot of protests against protesters. That's people that are on the other side of the demand and saying we should give President Tinubu some more time. We don't need to protest. Nobody dares go out to protest. And a lot of civil rights groups and individuals, organizing press conferences and announcing that we don't need to protest. Nobody should protest. And some of those announcements were even a bit of threat. I mean, we watched something from Asari Dokubo, a former Niger Delta militant, and how he was, talking about the fact that we should give President Tinubu more time and nobody needs to go out to protest. Anything you see, you get. But then again, I want to look at it from the flip side. There are a lot of people that are disgruntled with the government and want things to change or want things to be done differently. And then they want to go out to protest. And then you are on the other side of the demand telling them you dare not go to complain, you dare not go to protest, or, saying do it this way or do it that way. When you start giving people terms and conditions on how they should complain or how they should protest, it's no longer a protest because beginning to look like you're trying to tell people what to do. From last year, we saw the protests in France for the pension bill where President Emmanuel Macron increased the retirement age from 62 to 64. And the most recent of all, which is Kenya, unfortunately, both of these protests were laced with a large amount of violence. I want to look at it from two different sides. Even while telling people this is how you should protest, this is how you should protest, do you actually have the right to do that logically? And then on the other side, must protest the violence. But then you are looking at people that are angry inside, they are disgruntled, they have a lot of grievances. And sometimes emotions can lead before emotions and people start to act out. So then we are looking at violence in protests, all right? Government telling or giving directions on how protests should go. We have other civil rights groups threatening, dishing out threats and saying anything you see, you take.
I think the challenge boils down to how protests are organized, what are the goals, what are the aims of the protest. Like in France, the government say, okay, you can't retire if you retire before. Then some people say, no, in Nigeria, if you do that kind of thing, everybody will be happy for the government. But in France, they say no, you can't be pushing people to that limit. They must retire. But to the government, it was a good thing because they discovered that their enrollment level for people, teachers in France was reducing. A lot of young people are not interested in it. So they wanted to hold on to remain. But one of the challenges they had was that they didn't have enough buy-in from the stakeholders. That was why there was protest in France. Then in Kenya, the government jacked up some of the taxes policies rates. And there was a misunderstanding on the part of the Kenyan people as well as the opposition party. They never knew that the taxes was not meant to destroy the poor, but was meant to collect more money from the rich. But the interpretation of the taxes is when you put a tax on the rich, there's a way they will transfer that cost to the poor, and that's why protests will start. You get it? And
boomerang
effect. Now, unfortunately, the person that brought out the people to the protest ground has now been offered a seat in the government, and that's why the protests in Kenya have died down. The opposition party has now been given opportunity in the government, so that's why the Kenyan protests are a little bit died down. Although some people are still agitating they will protest, but it's not like what we had about 3 years ago. Then in Nigerian case,
Okay, right now we have Francis Okoye, one of our leadership correspondents, joining us right now, letting us know what is going on at his own side on the End Bad Governance protest. Hi, Moses, or rather, hi, Francis, rather. Hello, Francis, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud
Hello?
and clear. Okay, please let us know what exactly is going on at the protest where you are at.
The situation has taken another turn.
Hello, Francis. Hello, Francis. Can you hear us?
With the Borno state government detected that it will turn out. Yes? Are you hearing me?
Let us know your
Yeah,
location.
I can hear you.
Can we know your location, please?
Yeah, right now I'm inside the government house where the governor has just held meeting with security agencies
Where,
and
please?
declared 24 hours. Yeah?
You
Hello?
are at the what government?
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Francis, please tell us your location.
My location now is the Borno State Government House.
Okay. So have you been a
The
part of the
governor has
protest
just
today?
Yes, I was at the Blunkutu. I was at Bonge area. I was at West End. That of Blunkutu and the West End was very rough because at the West End, at the Blunkutu area of the protest, an officer of immigration accidentally shot himself thrice on the foot while barricading the protesters to ensure that they didn't enter the city of the state. At the Bonge area too, it turned violent. The protesters were hauling on the and in the process,
Good
the
morning,
driver
Nigeria.
and the state government
Today
has
is
presently
the hunger day. We all
declared
promised you that
24
we are
hours
going
of.
to be on the street of
Are you hearing me?
Abuja. And hunger
Hello?
has brought me out.
Hello?
I
Has
don't have
imposed
money
a 24-hour
to buy
block.
fuel. I don't have
Can you
money
hear us?
to buy whatever. There's total bad government.
Francis,
And I think I'm encouraging each and every one of us that the government has used propaganda, fake
okay,
news
Francis,
to
can
tell
you
you.
hear us?
To 24 hours coffee. Yes, I
Okay, please go on.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Are you
you.
hearing
Please
me?
go on, Francis. We can hear you.
Okay, the government declared the 24 hours curfew, citing suicide bombing incident that occurred last night at a distance from the state capital. Things around is that it escalates to something else because it is already turning violence before this curfew was declared.
Kogi State. Thank
Hello?
you, Francis. But what
Hello?
are the security agencies doing to, quiet down the situation? All right, that was Francis Okoye, our correspondent right there at Kogi State with reports of violence at the End Bad Governance protest over there, and the state government has right now imposed a curfew, a 24-hour curfew on the state. We'll get a lot more of that report and get that right there over as in mind. But moving on right now with our conversation and talking about violence. Why must protests get violent?
I was trying to, show a comparative analysis between
Mm.
Kenya, France, and Nigeria. Particularly with one of France as a result of government being manipulated enough to say, "Okay, let us push our retirement into future." So, and people find it difficult to understand. So
Mm.
I pointed out there was no much stakeholders into that law. That's why violence developed. In Kenya, it was as a result of taxes law that the government imposed, and people misunderstood that particular law. Although literally, when taxes are imposed on the economy, it means that whoever is participating in that economy will bear the brunt. The company will bear the brunt for them transfer it to the end user of their product and the rest of them. That brought violence. And in Kenya right now, the people who led that protest have not been compensated with a seat in government. It shows that sometimes some of these protests can become politically engineered just to find favor in government. In Nigerian case and in some sub-Saharan Africa, a protest will always come down because the organizer don't have authority over the people coming to protest. It is believed that we are protesting on behalf of everybody.
And we are speaking with one
voice. But there are some elements within the protest ranks that normally cause problems. I, for one, have led protests and I knew what I faced when I took it to my assembly. The real people that I took them were obedient, they follow me, they listen to my instruction. But all of a sudden, we know that our rank grew in large number. Then people were infiltrated before you know they started causing problems. And where the protest will always turn to violence starts with the barricade. The moment security agents say, "Okay, you protester, you cannot move beyond this limit," that is the beginning of protest. And you disobey, that's the beginning of protest. Or within the rank of people protesting, the demand change overnight. Let's say they are calling for, "Let us end hunger, let us end hunger." All of a sudden, somebody now say, "No, we are not just only going to end hunger. Let us also end something total thing."
Exactly, just like how the Kenya protest started. It started about taxes, and then it, became heightened with the violence and the tear gas and the killings too. Ruto must go.
Yes, definitely. Ruto must go. And from there, it becomes something else.
So that is the downside of protest we get to see, because it kind of reduces the value of why you even went out in the streets in the first place. Okay, you have a particular demand, and then you gather yourself together and go to the street. And over time, you get to see looting of shops, breaking the street lights, killings, tear gases, and as you said, passing the barricade, the instruction given to you by the security agencies. And when you do all of that, you kind of devalue the purpose why the gathering was even made in the first place.
Another issue remains that when protest demands are made, it should be concrete. It should be something that can be measured. It should be something that can be easily realized. Not bogus demand that that if you ask government to do a particular thing, that in the next 10 years they will not do it. One of them is asking government officials to resign. It may be very, very difficult in Africa, not in developed countries.
Okay,
in Africa,
you're speaking for Africa.
Yes.
Remember that our democracy is quite young, and it's not something that stands or to the test of time. Because over there in Europe, we get to see even just a few minutes, and we see people stepping down.
Stepping down, even before the virus.
Right here, our politicians are made of steel. They really don't value the needs of the people, the requests of the people. It's like pouring water on stone.
Apart from that, they normally see protests being organized as a form of opposition. It comes from the opposition. Although we cannot rule that out. Every protest that you see, it must have an opposition element. I led a protest in Abuja here. It has an opposition element to certain government policies. You get it? But in this particular one that we are facing now, we cannot rule out opposition also having a stake.
Well, I think it has to do with the do or die affair nature that politics has here in Nigeria. You think it's your enemy or your opposition that is against you. Every single political office holder has to be able to take criticism. That is the purpose of why you are there in the first place. You have people to serve. You are a servant. Yes. So if you don't know how to take criticism, then that's when we get to see, politicians lording over the citizens and not even really listening, because when you are criticized, you feel like it's being done out of, it's being done out of hatred. But then we are live on YouTube and Facebook, of course, and would love to take some comments from our live feed on this program. We'll be taking that shortly. still talking about violence in protest, the need for protesters to let known their grievances without turning protest.
Definitely, as I earlier pointed out, it must be done in a concrete and in a measurable way. When I mean measurable way, in a way that the government can understand that this is what we want, not a confused manner. You get it? If you're going to demand something that the government doesn't say, this way they don't even know what they want. Like I earlier pointed out, instead of us saying new subsidy, can we insist from now that refineries must work? Because when you say bring back subsidy, that means the government begin to reason, okay, it's like some people who are for subsidy are the ones sponsoring this protest. Because as far as government is concerned, as far as it's understood right now, because of the corruption in the subsidy level, a lot of people believe that subsidy is being promoted by certain individuals who want that particular policy to come back. Because it will give them the benefit of continue to read. But when we insist on something that they will not benefit from, that refineries must work, either by force or by fire, like the protesters in Lagos saying that government must come and dialogue with them on the street. One of the key issues is that with this dialogue, it is refinery. You know why NSA succeed over minimum wage? Because they insist that minimum wage must be increased. If we are going to stand on this protest also, we must insist that the refineries must. I think one of the cardinal points of demand on President Tinubu that the refineries must work before December.
Okay. Okay, let's take a comment right now from one of our subscribers right here. It says, how can somebody be so wicked like Tinubu with his anti-people policies since when he assumed office without looking into the ways to reverse them? All right, I think we made the last broadcast that he came to power by his own fortune to come and help the masses. Where is that help now going by the existing realities in the country? And we still get to read more of that. It's now getting hot all over all across Nigeria. Let's see whether his stiff-neck behavior, mentality, and evil-minded picture will not be affected relaxed before the end of pending nationwide protests embarked upon today. Nigerians at large have woken up to the reality that from the head to bottom, none of the members of APC can be trusted with any force. Their rogue and their comeback, their conquer one, disturbing the growth and development of Nigeria. Let's force them out by all means and force and fight with the last blood in our veins. Tinubu and his proteges will lead Nigeria to eternity. They don't care at all. They are desperate and wicked. Okay, I think that's the most we can take from that comment. Thank you so much. Really didn't get to see your name, but those are stiff words you used right there. You said something about making realistic demands. I don't really know how realistic it is right now to ask the president to step down. Even as far as we are complaining about hunger and so many things. I think it's taking it not too far. Though a lot of people have said here in Africa we don't really know our rights and we don't know how to communicate effectively with politicians. But maybe it's because of the do or die nature of politics right here in Nigeria. If you are making a request and it seems like you don't even have a right to make that request, or you're making that request and you are being threatened while you are making that request. So I think you're thinking it's not too high by asking the president to step down. I don't think we are there yet. But then let's watch a video of protesters complaining about hunger. Let's just quickly watch this video and then we'll be back and forth with more discussions. We're still talking the End Bad Governance protest here on Leadership TV.
Yawa nan titin gidan kankara kenan da ke area ta Sani Mai Nage Gwale local government.
Good morning, Nigeria. Today is the hunger day. We all promised you that we are going to be on the street of Abuja, and hunger have brought me out. I don't have money to buy fuel. I don't have money to buy whatever. There's total bad government. And I think I'm encouraging each and every one of us that the government has used propaganda, fake news to tell you that the protests have cancelled. Look at us on the street. The protests have not cancelled. We are on the street. It's 10 days. And if our demand is not being made, we will remain on the street till our demand is being made. Hunger has brought me out. Insecurity has brought me out. Poor housing has brought me out. A lot of things that is going on in this country. We can't just keep quiet as a nation. I'm advising every one of us to come out and exercise our fundamental right as a people.
What's your name?
My name is Emmanuel Larry. Yeah, good morning, Nigeria. Today is the hunger day. We all promised you that we are going to be on the street of Abuja. And hunger has brought me out. I don't have money to buy fuel. I don't have money to buy whatever. There's total bad government. And I think I'm encouraging each and every one of us that the government has used propaganda, fake news to tell you that the protests have cancelled. Look at us on the street. The protests have not cancelled. We are on the street. It's 10 days. And if our demand is not being made, we will remain on the street till our demand is being made. Hunger has brought me out. Insecurity has brought me out. Poor housing has brought me out. A lot of things that is going on in this country. We can't just keep quiet as a nation. I'm advising every one of us to come out and exercise our fundamental right as a people.
What's your name?
My name is Emmanuel Larry. Yeah, good morning.
Okay, still what here on Leadership TV. I think it takes some sort of bravery to even step out of your comfort zone. That's your home, to go to the streets to protest against bad government. I mean, you might go out and unfortunately you might not come back. That's a sad story of some of the citizens that partook in the NSAS protest in 2020. A lot of them left their homes that they had never returned. But that is the downside you get to see in politics here in Nigeria. So I think I don't know if to say kudos to every single protester out there in the street. It takes some bravery, and of course just protesters that are doing it the right way, peacefully. I don't subscribe to violence. Violence gets you nothing at the end of the day. But we're still live on YouTube and Facebook, and I'll take some more of your comments right here. Engineer Olayemi Obasa, I said, Tinubu, listen to the voice of the people. Enough is enough. Thank you, Engineer Olayemi, for that particular comment. Let's get to see more right here. Okay, we are still taking comments on Leadership TV here on the End Bad Governance protest. We are live here on YouTube and Facebook. This year says protest in Nigeria is always peaceful. The sponsor thugs by federal government politicians should stay away and let well-meaning Nigerians protest peacefully. The police should not tear gas the peaceful protesters because it's the right of the citizens to protest. The police should protest, or rather protest, the peaceful protesters and identify the sponsored thugs and arrest them. Thank you, Austin OJ, for your comment. I really appreciate you. Still on the End Bad Governance protest in 2024 right here. I think some states in Nigeria, I know some parts of the southeast, are not even participating in this at the moment. It's been yesterday there were, there was violence right there in Owerri with known gunmen, shooting sporadically in the air with residents scampering for safety. So I think that's the reason why there is almost like an enforced sit at home there in Owerri. We don't even know if there's any protest. We don't think there's any protest going on there right now. Polari, still talking about the protest right now. Do you think the protesters will even listen to the government? I know President Tinubu have pleaded, for more time to deliver the dividends of the renewed hope agenda. Are Nigerians that patient enough?
It may be very difficult if you look at the generality of the people protesting, listening to the president, but the leadership of the protestants will listen to the government. So that's why it could be that difficult. But we hope that the leadership will have been direction, so that when they call for dialogue, they can have the opportunity to speak to the government and dialogue. But I always have issues with government talking to people, listening to people, because at the end of the day, it's another opportunity for another set of people to find their voice in government. Feel like what happened in Kenya right now that we also evaluate. But the key issue is that what the people want is for the government to do concrete things in terms of what they are asked for. If the government can listen to them and say, okay, you ask for removal of subsidy, we're going to remove removal of subsidy, but this is at the condition that will follow, so that you will not come back and be asking us, why are we not putting money in education? Why are we not putting money in road? Why are we not? Because Nigerians need communication. The problem we have had over years is that government doesn't know how to communicate to the citizens in the right manner that citizens can understand. I've been insisting that one of the key things that government can quickly do, or the protester can also ask for government, fix refinery. If the government have been educating Nigerians and enlightening Nigerians with over the 450 languages that we have challenge with our refinery. This is the main thing we need to fix. Then we'll not be talking about subsidy. Nigerians will listen to it, but the government is not communicating. All we hear is all manner of technicality about government policy that doesn't get down.
A lot of work for the Ministry of Information and the National Orientation Agency.
It's not left for them alone. State governors can also engage.
To even inform the citizens on some of these jargons, because it seems some people don't even understand.
They don't understand at all.
Even while they are right there in the protest ground, they just know that they are hungry. They don't even.
The issue is this: people on protest ground right now, there are people who are really hungry for food. There are others who are hungry for political position, for their masters or for their political party. We must tell ourselves the truth. As we speak right now, the protestants is with different human beings. There are people who are supporting Tinubu, but at the same time they are hungry, but they just want to vent their anger. There are people who are there as spies to come and just blow up the crowd, and also ensure that we are there doing paparazzi with their phone. I was part of the protest. They are there, but there are people who know that genuinely they want something good for the country.
Change.
And people who really want the betterment of this country will not ask for the division of this country. Will not say, let us put things down, let us destroy. No, they will not ask for that. But mind you, all of them are gathering in all those protest grounds across the country. Look at what happened in Borno State this morning. People say they are protesting, or let's even take Kano for example. You are protesting. All you have to do is to go to the middle of the road, pull out a concrete, and begin to lay it in the middle of the road. Then someone will climb a pole and be removing iron that will go and sell it to Bababola. Is that protest?
Well, that's outright violence, but we don't subscribe to
at
that
all.
Right here. And we're still doing the End Bad Governance live coverage here on Leadership TV. We'll take some news, and of course we'll be back with more discussion. Stay tuned here with us. Good day, you're watching Leadership TV News. I am Cynthia Onwado. Pandemonium broke out on Thursday in Bulunkutu area of Maiduguri when an immigration officer accidentally shot himself thrice on the foot while blocking protesters. The sound of the gunshots further provoked the protesters, who went wild with the thought that one of them was shot, but became calm on discovering that it was an immigration personnel that was shot. Leadership TV reports that jointly patrol teams of the police, military, immigration, DSS, civil defense barricaded the Bulunkutu railway junction to prevent the hardship protesters from heading to the main city of Maiduguri. The self-injured officer was part of the security team deployed to disperse a crowd of protesters in the state capital, Maiduguri. The officer, whose identity has not been disclosed, was immediately rushed to a nearby hospital for treatment, and his condition is currently unknown. For more of our news stories, you can log on to our website. That's www.leadership.ng. Many thanks for watching. Thank you for staying tuned here with us on Leadership TV. We're still taking a coverage of the End Bad Governance Protest 2024. And of course, the Lagos State Commissioner of Police has assured protesters in Ojota, saying, "We are here to protect you." Let's take a look at him making that proclamation in Lagos State, assuring the protesters that as long as they remained peaceful, he would do the right thing by making sure that they are, of course, protected.
We are here to protect you, eh? That's why I'm here myself.
Thank you very much, sir.
So let me see who is going to harass you. Eh?
Thank you very much, sir.
This Lagos City. Let's go back.
In Lagos that the police force would of course protect them as they go on their daily routine of this proposed 10-day protest. But we don't even really know if this protest can really go on for 10 days. What do you think?
Definitely, it could go, it may not go, but there are indications that it may not last 10 days from what I'm seeing so far, because I may see the government quickly putting its head together so they can see how they can quickly douse the tension. Already we can count like 10 states already involved in the protest, from Lagos to Port Harcourt, Rivers State, to Kano, to Borno, then to Plateau, then to Nasarawa, then to Bauchi, then to Katsina. We get it. Up to 10 states already joined the protest, but so far so good. That it will be a mix of peaceful. The one in Abuja, we saw that the protestants still want to march to Eagle Square. That's why there was tear gassing by the police. But we just hope that the federal government will react, and not just react, but actively engage in conversation. Although I earlier pointed out that the people that they may be engaging may not be the right people to represent the people, but at least let them engage one way or the other. Let them call leaders who have the understanding to speak back to the people. Because the problem we normally have in Nigeria is this: when government is engaging, they engage with people who don't bring back the feedback to the people. They only engage with elite in our society. But this time I want people that when they say something, the message goes down to the bottom of the bottom in our society, to the grassroots. You get it? So when message goes down there, we can all. I made mention that 450 language, over 450 language that we have in Nigeria. How come we don't have information disseminated in all these languages so that Nigerians can understand? Although with what leadership is doing at this point in time, the message will sink down, people will understand. And I normally do as much as possible to reduce my technicality of analyzing some issues around Nigeria. Because when you are too technical, people will not get your message. But we just hope that the message will get right to the people, and this protest will be more beneficiary to Nigeria as a whole.
All right, we have one of our correspondents standing by, Obinna Ogbonnaya, to let us in on what exactly is going on right now on his own end of the protest. Obinna.
As we speak now, I am at Uburu in Ohosra local government of Ebonyi State. As you can see, everywhere is deserted.
Obinna, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, please let us know your location.
Yes, I am at a place called Uburu in Ohosra local government area of Ebonyi State, where the Minister for Works comes from. And looking at the environment, the whole area is deserted. No business is going on. Vehicles are not plying the area as the people are indoors, envisaging that there might be would not be in the states. That the whole place is currently deserted. The security agencies that usually on the express route, they are not in. Everywhere is just calm, but the residents are coming up. You're indoors, monitoring events of the day. Thank you very much.
So basically, no protest in that state. Is that just that particular side of Abia State?
Yes, there is no protest in Ebonyi. The designated places, venues where the protesters are expected to converge, Palorda Township Stadium, the Presco Junction, and the Center Junction. We visited the area, and there is no presence of protesters.
That particular update. Really appreciate you. Okay, so basically, no protests in the southeast? Because we've gotten reports of Owerri and Ebonyi being deserted. But then again, is no protest also a protest?
It's
a sort
sign.
of body language
Exactly,
also.
yeah.
It's like you are speaking without speaking.
Exactly.
But is it really a protest or it is just fear?
I think what would
It should be
I'll
of the two.
I will take the second part. It is fear, because the fear has been pronounced by, although not. Let's first look at the pronouncement from the elders of the southeast. An easy group have said that there is no protest in southeast. Then before the unknown gunmen also said there is not going to be any protest. And if you also remember, the leading man that is leading the IPOB, what's his name, Samuel Nekwe, have also come out to say there won't be any protest in southeast. And he even claimed that the killing of policemen that took place in 3 days back was his own instruction. He instructed those policemen to be killed. So you can see that fear has been created as a means of putting the people in their house so that they don't protest. But as rightly pointed out, it's also another way of a failure of insecurity in the country. And so how could someone sit down in Finland and be making instruction that people should be killed, and they'll be killed? So part of the demand is a fixed insecurity in the country. Not just famous others crisis, not just communal clashes, but some elements in our society that constitute themselves as enemy of Nigerian state. And Samuel Nekwe is one of the enemy of Nigerian state. So no matter how we want to take it, so although we also understand it's a frustration in calling for a Biafra nation that you want to be out of the entire Nigeria, but can't that go through dialogue and discussion? I think maybe as time goes on, we may get to that level to be talking about Nigeria and how Nigerian state can survive all these challenges that we are faced today.
Okay, well, the southeast is one part of Nigeria that have made their own grievances known about not being satisfied with the victory of President Bola Tinubu, and they have said it in different ways. Even as much as we have the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, on one end with the mandatory Monday sit-at-home set in the southeast. But then again, do we have the people speaking with one voice? We have leaders in the Senate, we have leaders as ministers that give directive for the people to follow. But can we say that the Southeast are people that think on their own or obey the instructions of the leader? Over the years, we've seen things gotten worse in that part of the country with the insecurity, and it seems like the people are not even really bothered on what happened. There's a body language of I don't care in that part of the country. Is it really what it is about the southeastern people giving up on the concept of Nigeria, or even having for lack of a better word, or even having a say in what goes on politically in the country? And this particular protest, I think not coming out or not even partaking is something that I would say is a loud silence, because on one end we have fear, and on the other end it's also saying we really don't care about what happened. What does this spell for the southeast in the far run? Yes, where do we actually see the people going with this particular way of life, not caring about what happens in the country, not partaking? Like I said, a very loud silence. What do you think?
If you look at the issue of the Southeast, it's quite critical that we have found ourselves where we are today, and speak back to the issue of the civil war that happened some years back. Some people are still growing that the rehabilitation, the building, and the bringing about the trust between the people of the South and entire Nigeria is not yet been built yet. And again, coupled with the last election, that they felt that okay, they were cheated out. They're supposed to win the election with their candidate, and they didn't win it. And before the election of 2023, the Southeast has always feel that they have been marginalized.
Kind of like a prodigal child in a way.
They see themselves as being marginalized of the teams of Nigeria. Although during the Goodluck Jonathan government, you see a lot of them performing and being appointed. Even it was the Buhari government that we saw most of them say they didn't get the juicy appointment they wanted. But current government has appointed a lot of Southeast sons into governance positions as we speak. But that's not the issue. The issue boils down to the few elements who feel that they can control the mind and psyche of some certain individual in the Southeast. And that's what is happening. And guess what? In Lagos, there is a section of Yorubas that said nobody should protest in Lagos. But guess what? The protest in Lagos is led by Yorubas. Majority of the people that I saw on the screen today are people that I know physically, personally, that will all be in unions and the rest of them who are participating in NLC protest. And they are all there in protesting. You can see what is happening. So it's just the understanding of the people in that region that is given out. One, as you mentioned, has also concurred to fear. Nobody wants to die. You see what really made the sit at home significant was that people will be killed. The fear of you'll be killed if you go out.
So has it rendered the people helpless? Because it seems somebody can stay in miles away from the country and give a directive, and the people are forced to obey. So it almost makes it look like the people are in this bubble where they are imprisoned and they cannot free themselves. Or they actually don't mind being in prison, or they actually don't mind these ideologies being enforced on them. What do you actually think?
The issue is this. The issue is this. For every Nigerian that we see, a lot of people in Nigeria still believe that the country called Nigeria is not supposed to be a country. It's supposed to be operating separately like a region country. Then we have one federal that will be doing some international dealing for Nigeria. So each region is supposed to operate. And for the Southeast people, a lot of them still believe that they still don't have that 100% stake in Nigerian state. It also happened in the Southwest. As we speak right now, when this protest was being organized, a lot of people was like, no. It's like because the Yoruba man is now in government, you want to scuttle his government. Okay, don't worry, go and do your protest. If you scatter, all of us scatter. At the end of the day, what you are looking for, all of us will get it. That's what is happening to every mind. But on the Southeast issue was that a good number of them still believe that Biafra can still be
be actualized.
So that's why you see that some still ask that notion that we can still have Biafra. But the key thing that is keeping them to the point that the sit at home destroy the economy of Southeast was that the fear of I don't want to die. And a lot of people buy into it. And you can also see the action of the unknown government everywhere. I think the only state that suffer less in terms of unknown government is Enugu State. Enugu State and Ebonyi State suffer less.
They have been really calm in the storm of the Southeast in the last few years. But also living in the bubble of believing that Biafra will actually be idealized. Don't you think it suppresses the people and doesn't give them that push to be part of key players in the economy? Because you feel like you have something you can achieve in the long run, and then you miss out on, good things that would have come your way.
Definitely, they are the real people that are missing out are the people at the grassroots. Because governance is not getting to them, further attention is not being given to them. But the elite in those regions are enjoying. The elite, no elite who want to talk about Biafra, because they are part of the government since many years back. They have been getting contracts, they have been getting appointments, they are getting their
so they don't live in the same bubble the people live in. And they are comfortable, so they don't care.
And the majority of the poor people who don't have the understanding of a united Nigeria will always be buy into this kind of agenda that no Biafra can achieve.
Always believe that there's something better in front, and not live in the present and contribute actively to the Nigerian state.
Definitely. And you can see that the government of today have made it one of possible that the Southeast Development Commission has been passed. Some of the agencies they cried for many years ago that they wanted, but now it has been passed. So we just hope that with all this and local government autonomy has also come in, because these are the things that I believe that gradually, where everybody wants the country to go in terms of regional government, regional economic integration, we'll get there gradually with laws being passed, with policy being put in place to ensure that self-independent come one way or the other, we'll definitely get there. But when we now use force and violence to achieve that, or to want to achieve that, we may not get it, because there's the people that will still suffer. A lot of things have gone wrong in this country, but we know that gradually and very soon, with law, appropriate law and policy, will get to the level that we want to get to.
Apart from the laws and policies, the personalities or the people who occupy these positions, I feel they are key players in how things turn out in the country. Because you have those laws and policies, and then you have people disobeying the laws and finding their way out of it. We see politicians that have embezzled billions over the years, and then they are chased by EFCC for 1 week. And we don't really get to hear anything about it. Okay, they sleep in the DSS cell for 1 week, 1 month, and that is the end. The people are the law. The people are the policies. And when you have people that don't have the love for the country in their hearts. They don't want things to work out. They are the ones procuring this law. Of course, they will look for ways. You know, they will look for ways to kind of wrangle their way out of the consequences of disobeying this law. So I think even before laws and policies, personalities come from
definitely
occupying
positions.
these spaces.
The issue is this: every country that you see, there are people that you can consider as the elite of that country. Here in Nigeria, we have elite. Then we have citizens. Now, the elite, or what we call the ruling class, and the Nigerian state. Now, the Nigerian state have 5 components: the bureaucracy, the military, the court, the prisons, and the police. These are the components of the Nigerian state. Now, who control those components of the Nigerian state are the ruling class. Who are the ruling class? The people found themselves in choice position through political means or through military height. So they control the state. Like what we are talking about now. This set of people that we are talking about called ruling state, they control the economy. They also control the politics. So what do they do with the economy and the politics? They use it to chastise as well as to control the people's mind and well. So whatever anybody in this below their cadre gets is as a result of what they think that you can get. Now, the law that I made mention, that through law and policy, the law that is being written in Nigerian Constitution is written by this elite. So the detection on how that law works is for their own good. For instance, when the protest was to start, the government said, no, you cannot do protest. Everybody said, no, protest is our right. It's in the Constitution. It's enshrined in the Constitution to what to protest. But the government also know that through the same law, they can also hinder protesters. That's why they say the court said, don't move here to this place. And the court cite reason that if you move there to this place, we are afraid of violence. So the law is used for the good of man, and at the same time, it's also used against the good of man. That's why you see that poverty cannot be eradicated, because policy are there, laws are there to eradicate poverty. But do they use it to eradicate poverty? But they use
it to even
to continue to create more poverty.
Okay.
Earlier in the discussions, we will talk about how government have been distributing money. You ask yourself, how come the money doesn't get to the real people that need the money? They subvert the entire environment to ensure that the money will not get to them. So they can initiate another policy that will say, okay, we are going to distribute another set of money in another 2 months. I hope you are getting me. So that's how it works. But until the elite understood that the people supposed to be taken care of, the people supposed to be catered for, and in catering for the people, you cater for the people equitably. So what we have been suffering so far was that each region have not been taken care of equitably. The Niger Delta are the one that laying the egg of our crude oil. So you ask yourself, how much development is taking place in Niger Delta?
Over there.
But you also ask yourself, Niger Delta has been given special treatment with special intervention agencies.
Over the years.
But how come those agencies are not taking care of the people?
Yes.
So that boils down to the elite. The elite in Niger Delta, what are they doing with NDDC? What are they doing with the funding? We just saw a governor speaking to his people, saying, we understand your protest, we understand what you are posting to, but what is the governor doing in terms of food? Does that governor or does that state have farm? That's the question we begin to ask ourselves. So the elite have a way of suppressing the people, even though they have the understanding of how to solve the problem, but they will not solve the problem, because solving the problem means equitable distribution of wealth have come. And nobody, as far as elite are concerned, they don't want equitable distribution of wealth, no matter how it's going to look like.
Okay, we will have Godwin Enna joining us shortly to let us in on the protest, but still talking about the elites and how they put up, and how they suppress the people. Just days leading to this particular protest, we saw a lot of protests against protesters. We saw a lot of them with placards saying, President Tinubu is doing so well, give him some time. And then there are people coming from the tribal angle of things, saying that they don't want the Yoruba president to enjoy the power. He must do his 8 years. I mean, he's not even done with 4. And you are talking about 8. So people coming from that tribal angle saying that he must enjoy his 8 years. They have no right to go out to protest against him. And they are coming from the tribal angle of things. So that, makes me wonder, where we are mentally as a people. I don't know why we'll always like to tribalize even the biggest of problems we have here. The End Bad Governance protest is basically about hunger. So, I mean, every single one of us is hungry, no matter what tribe we are. So why do we have to tribalize things? I got to that angle from you talking about the elites and how they suppress the people, or maybe just deceive, or deal with the people's mental and psychological thinking, and it feels like they can't think straight even when the problem is right there in front of them. this happens to every single tribe in Nigeria. The Igbos, the Hausas, the Yorubas. Most Nigerians find it hard to call out the elites around them.
And the reason is very simple. The poor who will call out the elite are not united. Because the poverty of the psychological poverty they are suffering from will not allow them to think critically. Take for instance, a governor is elected in a state. He's from that state. He's an indigenous of that state. He's a resident in that state. Then he's ruling the state. He collects money from federal government. He generates internal revenue. He collects loan. But the state governor cannot build road. He's shouting that he cannot pay minimum wage. But he's from that state. Now the people in that state, the residents in that state, the indigenous of that state, they may not want to shout on him unless maybe somebody else, the governor, you are not doing this, you are not doing that. But the moment you come and say, okay, this governor, you have been collecting this money, you're supposed to do this for the people. They'll say, no, leave him, it's our turn. Why are you trying to castigate our son? That's what happened. And the elite have understood that you can throw the card of religion and ethnic settlement into the poor, in the midst of into the midst of the poor. And once you throw that in, you scatter the poor, and the poor have no place.
Let's quickly move on now. We have somebody giving us an update on the protest. We'll be bringing him right now to give us shed some more light on what exactly is happening right here in the studio. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Please, can you tell us what exactly is happening where you are at, beginning with your name and your location?
My name is Azza Mswe. I'm a reporter from Kaduna State. Hello?
Kaduna now, as regards the protest.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello? We can hear you loud and clear. Please go on. Let us know what is going on in Kaduna.
Right now, I'm at Command Junction. Command Junction is the entrance point to Kaduna City. Everything is going on smoothly here. There is no violence, no protest here. It seems some people, I've seen commercial vehicles, buses, tricycles, Okadas moving on, looking for passengers, flying on this road. So this is Command Junction. Everything seems to be calm here. And at Command Junction here, Command Junction is located in Kaduna South and Chukun local government area of Kaduna State.
Giving us a kind of visual picture of calm. Does it mean that protests didn't really take place over there?
No, there is no protest in Kaduna South. Kaduna South, there is protest in Kaduna City, the metropolis. But the part of the metropolis, especially the Kaduna South, there is no protest at all. Kaduna South local government and Chukun local government area of Kaduna State comprises, there are areas like Television. Right now, where I'm standing is at Television Village. This is the entry point to Kaduna City. There is no protest at all.
But at the major towns?
Yes, in the Kaduna metropolis, the main Kaduna metropolis, which is Kaduna North, there is serious protest there. Some protesters marched to Government House, which I'm not there. Presently, I'm at Command Junction. I came back to Command Junction, which is Kaduna South, where I'm monitoring the situation here.
All right. Thank you so much for giving us that update. We appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're still going to have one of our correspondents let us in on what exactly is going on at her end. Good afternoon. Get her to join us to give us more insight on what's happening. We'll still take more conversations on the End Bad Governance protest. And before we took the video, we were talking about the fact that citizens find it hard to call out their elites. bordering on tribal and religious lands.
Exactly, because once the elite throw that card into the midst of the poor, particularly the citizens, they get confused, and that's when everybody will now go to his tent. Either you are from the Yoruba, the Hausa, and you are Igbo, or other tribes that are made of Nigeria. So that particular card has always caused confusion. In the build up to the election, we saw it coming up. When the election by political parties wanted to nominate presidential candidates, and there was this confusion. The APC, the PDP also had their own confusion, but at the end of the day, it all settled. But when it comes to the re-election, it now become a challenge between the South and the North, and eventually the South had it. But the computation and the problem with the election was that the two South candidates, one was said to have won, the other one said no, I didn't win, and that continued to build up the hatred between the two groups, the Yorubas and the other the Southeast people. But over time, we have seen that there has been a moderation through the appointment of Southeast into the government, because what the Southeast people cried for during the Buhari government was that, apart from the incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu, there was also this marginalization and inclusion of them in government of President Buhari. So that became an agitation. But the current government have been able to bring some of them in, and we just hope that it will be balanced, because in Nigeria, when it comes to appointment, people who appoint people, not just at the federal government level, including at state level, you see some local government having more commissioner than some local government. And when you ask them why is it like, they'll tell you that based on permutation and calculation of voting pattern during the election, if a particular local government give a particular governor candidate more votes than the rest of the group, be rest assured that when appointment comes, you use that local government as a yardstick of appointment, including aid.
I think that also happens from the top, because when it's time for the president to select his ministers, it's almost like I would choose a lot more ministers from where I got the highest amount of votes from. So it becomes an issue of loyalty and trying to pay back those that were loyal to them. So still looking at the protest right here. There are a lot of videos circulating online at the protest ground. We've seen some infiltrations, we've seen some fake videos. We've even seen re-uploading of videos from the 2020 End SARS protest. So I think this is a juncture where we would try to plead to everyone to be as careful as possible not to share fake videos to elicit the polity and make everywhere hotter than it is already. So if you see a news, you try your best to verify before clicking share. That would be the right thing to do as a peaceful and patriotic Nigeria, so as not to heat up the polity and share fake news that would scare people up and cause a lot more problem. On the side of government too, I think they are not left out of this particular blame. I see some government propaganda going on right here. I think one of those is even the protest against protesters. I have an issue with that. I don't know how about that. I think the people should be allowed to air their grievances as much as they want to. What do you have to say about this?
When you come talk, let's look at the fake videos that are circulating. You can't know that social media have given us that leverages to go back in memory to fix some things, but how useful are those pictures at this point in time is what we don't really know. Just like what you have said, some of those pictures can cause high tension in society. Some of those pictures can also cause violence. So that's why we are advising you that please don't share old videos. If you have current videos, that could be more better. And when you're also sharing videos, don't share videos that could be too gruesome, that doesn't portray the image of Nigerian better. But we all need the information, but it should be the information that we can consume at this point in time, not the one that will come and cause problems for us. Then as part of government, in terms of propaganda, government is propaganda themselves. No government in the world that doesn't engage in propaganda. So they always drama. Exactly, they always have propaganda, and propaganda is also part of it. And also, it is not just government alone that is pushing out propaganda, including the protesters. The organizers also push out propaganda.
Okay, we'll come back right to this. We have Najib Sani, one of our correspondents, standing by to give us an update on what is going on at his own end. Hello, Najib. Hello, Najib. Okay, Najib, can you hear us? Can you kindly unmute yourself so you can speak? Hello, Najib, can you hear us? Can you unmute yourself so we can get to hear you better? Okay, there's some technical difficulty right there with Najib. Hoping we'll get back right to him soon enough. Okay, still on government propaganda.
Exactly, government use propaganda, all various of groups use propaganda. But how you use propaganda is based on the advantage of what you want to achieve. For instance, build up to this protest, government was trying as much as possible to let the people know some of the things he has been doing. But in reality, those things were not things that Nigerians have seen. So it becomes a propaganda of a sort. Then the protesters themselves also put up some write-ups, some issues around government, whereby if you look at it, if you want to verify whether what they are saying is right or what they are saying is wrong, you can discover that it's also propaganda. There was a particular statement that came out and said all National Assembly members are traveled out of the country. It was put out by organizer of that protest. To the point that they even went and took pictures of the crowded airport and said, look at the airport that has not been filled up by National Assembly members. All the ministers or the governors are running away. You get it? So that's why I said both sides use propaganda, but the one that used propaganda much was government. And I said earlier, government themselves use propaganda, and across the world,
because US government have a lot more to lose.
So they must do everything possible to keep the people in check. And propaganda work on your psyche, on your mental faculty, on how you reason about government information. But propaganda also have its own positive side, in the sense that, like, during this war across the world, like the war that Israel and Hamas are fighting, you can see both sides are using propaganda. Israel will tell you that we have just discovered a bunker, and that bunker is filled with dead body, and they will not show the video. The Hamas will come and say, we have hit the strategic point of Israel, we have bombed it. And so that is what propaganda is used for. But in this case now, we just want to put a little constraint on the government side. We know that government is doing something, but those things, practically, we cannot see them affecting the entire Nigeria. Like the rice, 40,000 naira, 50 kg rice they are talking about. I've not seen the center. The Abuja center they are talking about, nobody knows where that center is.
And the trucks, the 20 trucks of rice to states.
The state are, not all the states are getting it. Some states have gotten, some states have not gotten. Like fertilizer, they have been distributing. Or you say that have been one of the antagonists of the current government, they have gotten their fertilizer. But what we are trying to point out, in as much as government is doing something, but it is not something that these people on the street can use their eye to see. Say for instance, if the government has said this 40,000 naira 50 kg we are selling, it is being sold at Massacre Market, it is being sold at the same market, and if you walk down and get it, I can bet you many Nigerians will not go to the street to protest. But because most things that government do, they don't see it in reality. And that's why government come with the propaganda to say, we have done it. But in reality, it has not been done.
It's just on a paper, on a table,
exactly.
Pushed away somewhere. But the government requested for more time in a statement released by the presidency, more time to, achieve the renewed hope agenda. I just want to know if the government has the right to ask for more time at this particular moment where it seems like things are becoming really difficult for Nigerians. Statistics were released a few days ago on the amount of money being spent in each ministry, but it seems like it doesn't tally with what the people are experiencing right here. Okay, we have Godwin Enna on standby. Let's get to hear from him and we'll continue our conversation. Hello, Godwin.
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Please let us know your location at the moment.
I can hear you loud and
what
clear.
Is happening on your end when it comes to the protest?
Okay, right away I'm at the government house, close to where the protesters are trying to force themselves into the government house. But the security personnel have curtailed them. They were resisted. And as at the moment, they are still trying to have access to the government house. I think so far we learned that about one person was killed along this Kwado area. About several security personnel were wounded. Some of them were at least stoned by the protester. The protester were those youth, young children, or let's say the people between the ages of 19 to 30, clamoring for hunger, hardship, and then insecurity. The moment the security personnel are still contending with them. to add to this also.
What state exactly you are talking about?
Katsina State. I'm talking about Katsina
State.
In particular. Katsina.
Katsina State. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
so
yes.
there's been a bit of violence. What is the security reaction to this violence? And shot any tear gassing?
Yes, they have used tear gas to contend with them. And at the point, I think there is instances that one person was killed and several others were injured. Though, at the moment, the protesters are still trying to force themselves into the government house, but not official government has spoken to them. But meanwhile, there is a indication that the acting governor, that is Farouk Lawal Jobe, will soon speak with the press, will soon address the press. At the moment, we are waiting for that.
All right. Thank you so much for this update.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Okay, it's quite unfortunate that reports of violence are coming out from various states. A protest that was supposed to be as peaceful as possible to relay the demands for the people about hunger to the president. And we see it going the other way. It's quite sad and undervalues the purpose of why this was put together in the first place. Do you think that it's actually protesters? I can't say because I'm not at the protest ground, but do we see undertones of people who are trying to hijack this protest? Are they truly protesters or are they third-party hijackers undervaluing the proposal?
If we review this report from Katsina, it shows that it's a disorganized protest. I don't even want to call it protest. We see it as a rampaging, rioting people. Look at the age bracket that he gave, between 13 and 15 years. What are they doing on protest ground? You can see the Abuja protest ground. Mature people who will be able to communicate right. You can see on Lagos ground, mature people. Look at Port Harcourt. So what are these young people doing on the street? And the picture we saw in Borno State, the same thing. Young people running here and there. And these are the people that you cannot control. They'll just be moving and they don't even, some of them don't even understand what the protest is all about. Okay, hunger. That is in outside you say abinchi or there's no food. But the issue goes beyond just hunger. That's why you see that there are demands. And the Katsina episode that we are just getting reports shows that there is no organization. There is nobody leading them. Now they also want to force themselves into the government house. Why would they force yourself when they are already giving you a barricade? This is the limit that you are good. The issue is this. I remember when there was protests in Honduras, and the protesters were advised that please don't go beyond this. And the security guards were like, don't go beyond, and the people who overpowered it. What happened next? The people who the protesters ran into the presidential villa, and the protesters jumped into the swimming pool and started swimming. And you ask yourself, they broke into the kitchen, they begin to eat all the food. They cut away computers and some property.
Something like that also happened in an Oba's palace in Lagos. Maybe during the NSAS protest. Yeah.
And you begin to ask yourself, is this the protest or opportunity for some people to...
The protest should have a clear-cut leadership and ideology. The purpose. What are your grievances? What materials are you using? Not just a gathering of people that have been made promise or something, or people that don't even have a direction. Because gathering is not the problem. I mean, when one person comes and gathers people and say, let us make noise, let us be mischievous, it's very easy. But then gathering with a purpose, I think that is what it's very important, in order not to undervalue why exactly you're gathering for that purpose. We have Aliyu Elias will be joining us very soon. Looking forward to that.
I think for me, the people in Katsina should know that what they are doing is not protesting, it's just rioting. They are not protesting, they are just rioting, and they're supposed to understand the limit. And going as far as bringing out children of 13, 14, 15 years coming to the field. And these are the people that will become victims of the issue of the protest. Because at the end of the day, some of them will be arrested by police. They'll be arrested because they'll be raping and police will pick them up. So the issue is that the people who have put the Katsina protest in place, can you go back to the drawing board? get it. Go back to the drum. Go and learn from other states how they are doing their protest. The one that is even painful was the one in Kano, where good roads have been constructed with pavement. You pull it up and scattered it on the road. Is that protest? That's not protest. They should organize themselves and make their demand known officially in a way that it can be concrete. I remember when I led my protest in National Assembly, we prepare our demand in letter. And I also remember at that point that there was also another group that came from Benue State protesting, but they were not organized, they were not official. All they came was to come and make noise. They even wore t-shirts, come and make noise in National Assembly. But when they asked them, what are your demands? They said, look at the other people from Nasarawa. They are came with their demand, but you are coming here with empty hands. So how would we know that you really are protesters or you just came to make noise? So they should organize themselves in a way and present their demands to the government.
All right, Aliyu Alias, political analyst, will be joining us to let us in on what exactly is going on at his end when it comes to the protest. Hello, Aliyu, can you hear me?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Good afternoon to you. Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please let us know where exactly you are. Are you around the ongoing active protests, and what have you seen so far?
Right, I've found my way back home. But just like what we are monitoring, we could see a lot of pocket of issues at Gwagwalada, at Dutse, at Maraba, Eagle Square, and it's all start at the Moshood Abiola Stadium so far. And I think it's actually going beyond our expectation. And we want to enjoin the government to do the right thing by making sure that they did not actually malhandle beyond as it's supposed to be.
So what can you say about some of the demands that the protesters are preferring for? That's a reduction in fuel and food prices, and also the issue of security that affects food production. What can you say about some of these demands? And there's something that are actualizable by the President Bola Tinubu government?
Well, for me, I think the demand is not well articulate. If I should put it in that manner, it's not well articulate because, when you're having demand and we have pocket of different demand at the same time, it's quite not a good one. However, the fact remains that hunger is one of the factors that actually bring about this protest. The hardship in the country actually bring about the protest, but the leader must be much more constructive and much more organized to achieve the said aim, because we could see about 14, 15 states having a pocket of protest, and I think the major one is now in Abuja for now. But for me, I think it's a good one for the Nigerians to demand for a better life, for a good governance, but we must do it at a way that will get a good result. Because for me, if we are going to have 10 days protest and today is like this, I don't see it coming good as expected.
Okay, some violence have been noticed in some parts of Abuja. What can you actually say are the reasons for this? The protesters are actually the violent ones, or do you think the protests have been hijacked by third parties?
Right. I think the organizer has forgotten that once you declare a protest and it is termed youth protest, people go their different way to actually start the protest. The organizer, according to Deji Adeyanju, he said they are in National Stadium in compliance with the injunction gotten by the FCT administration for them to be only in National Stadium. However, he forgot that there are other interested party, and we could see pocket of a blockage of road at Gwagwalada. We see a blockage of road at Kefi. We also see blockage of road, major road at that, at Dutse, Alaji. So I think these people that are blocking the road, they may not be part of the planned protest itself, so they may not have the right reasons. They may have maybe the agitation could be hunger too, but the thing is, it is not structured. And my fear is that let this not get out of hand. So government must come in place to make sure that they really tame it, and they should bring these leaders to be speaking to people every time so that it will not go out of hand.
As much as we can say protests have a structured leadership, and unfortunately you can't really tell people what to do, even as protests in other parts of a state would erupt. Do you think it's right for government to give directives on where exactly protests should hold? Because you have a particular people complaining about hunger and giving out their grievances, and then the government giving directives on where and how to protest. Do you think it's actually a right thing to do?
Right. Before now, I think we don't usually have a structured or a guided protest. Procession could be from one place to the other, but because of the experience of NSAS in Lagos in particular, Lagos said they only want people to protest in two parts. Then Abuja also came up and said they only want national stadium. But for me, protest shouldn't be conditionalized to that extent. People should be free, as is enshrined in the Constitution, to protest, to gather at any point in time to express their grievance. But for me, in a democracy, I think we have to be careful the way we guard people, deny people their rights. It's somehow, because I recall during 2012, people are just doing Occupy Nigeria, and they actually come into one place and make sure that they really air their view. But as it is now, I think this is beyond that, because hunger is in every home and people want to protest the way they like. But I think, for me, government should still come out and start telling people what they have done and what they are planning to do, and how they are going to ameliorate the suffering of the mass, because it's quite clear that this protest is actually much more of hardship and anger cost. So, but I think even at that, Nigeria should also be careful. Don't let us take advantage of it to commit mayhem, to bastardize issues, to even look at the confrontation at the Eagle Square. It is uncalled for. I think Nigerian citizens also should be cautious in the way they approach these challenges.
Some protests, we got to see a lot of people, some in Abuja, some in Lagos, carrying out a protest against protest. So what do you have to say about also some media conferences that were held, for example, by Asari Dokubo, threatening protesters and warning people in Port Harcourt not to come out for protest? What do you have to say about the citizens of Nigeria standing out for the elites and politicians on the basis of tribal and religious lines?
Well, as at where I monitor the protests, I've seen several protests, and even a small one in Port Harcourt. I've even seen the governor addressing crowd in Port Harcourt. So I think Asari Dokubo is just doing that for him to be more popular. Perhaps he's a non-state actor, so he does not have reason to come out and say nobody should come out. Perhaps the statement he has also made is a sign that if anything happens, they should hold him responsible. In as much as a non-state actor, he doesn't have reason to stop people. Even the governor of the state came out to really talk to the people that are protesting. We've seen crowd protesting in Port Harcourt. So I think he's just doing that maybe to play to the gallery, so to say.
The southeast finally now. Yesterday there were reports of gunmen in Owerri shooting sporadically at people and people running for their lives. And today also there have been a lot of calm in parts of Ebonyi, Enugu and the rest. So basically the southeasterners are not partaking in the protest. But can we say not partaking is also a body language, or just something that has to do with fear? Even with the leader of the proscribed IPOB, Sam Ekwe, coming out to say that he is responsible for some of the violence that have erupted in the last few days. What do you have to say about the Southeast not partaking in this protest? Will it spell wrong for them at the end of the day? Or do they have the right to not care about what exactly goes on in the country? Because we can tell that quite a few of them are disgruntled with this government. I mean, with the elections that happened and Peter Obi losing out, we know a lot of Southeasterners are not supporters of this government. But not partaking in this protest, will it spell wrong for them at the end of the day? Or do they have the right not to care? Because a lot of the leaders have also called out to the Igbos and said, do not come out for this protest. It has nothing to do with you. What do you have to say about that?
All right. I saw the address of Honorable Benjamin Kalu, who is the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, where he came out and said, Igbos don't go protest. They want to kill you. They want to do that. I think, in as much as we are Nigerians, I think what is happening now is actually affecting everybody. If you look at even the part of the reason for the protest, the one I've seen, it's to stop the challenge of insecurity. And insecurity is also bedeviling the southeast as it's bedeviling the northwest and northeast. So I think it's a general issue. So if they decide not to, you recall that they're also suffering the challenges of IPOP. So they may not want to add the problem of national protest to the challenge they are actually facing as at now. So I think it's a welcome development. Everybody have the right to protest or not to protest. So every state have the right to join or not to join. So if that is their reason, it's best known to them, and it's also good because when we see protests like this, it's actually lead to a lot of negative things. So that place is volatile already. So I'm sure that is their reason, because in a volatile environment, protests can also become a tool to be used to really bastardize things.
Let you go. Let me ask you one last question. There have been reports of protesters looting the NCC Industrial Park in Kano even before it was slated to be commissioned. So what do you have to say about protesters looting, vandalizing properties while protest is going on? Like we talked about earlier, how come they devalue the purpose of the protest in the first place? Or does it have to do with a third party infiltration into that gathering?
Right. It's just a bad element for those people that are bastardizing and looting people. And that's why we have issues with those people during NSAS who actually engage in looting. They've not brought them to book. That's the problem. Now, that's why I also have issue with government having people maybe in different prison without trying them. You should have to, there should be consequence for whatever we do. So for me, I think those people are bad elements. They're not part of the genuine protesters. In as much as we have genuine protesters, those people are people that want to just take advantage of things. They are people that actually have that criminal tendency. So I think they should bring those people, such people to book. They should be arrested and deal with decisively.
Okay, so to say this now, the government is asking for more time to fulfill the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. Do you think the government has the right to ask for more time, or we also have the right to demand that we need to start seeing results? It's not even up to a year in office. So what do you have to say? Is it too early to start seeking results?
Well, the fact is that it's not about time, it's about policy direction. If you look at the policy direction of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the first day he emerged the president, he declared move of fuel subsidy, and before you know, he floats the naira. The government wants much money, which eroded the purchasing power of citizens. So I think it's about policy. So if you can come out today and make pronouncement of some policy direction, that would have solved a lot of things. So I think it's about policy direction. It is not how far, it is what you do within the period that you have.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Aliyu Elias, for conversing with us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I think I should put it out there that the president is already more than 1 year in office, so he's still asking for a lot more time. That's just what I wonder. That then, even if people say the president must step down or resign, or he's not living up to expectation, is it not too early to start requesting for results? Because we've even gone through an entire 8 years, and people still have grievances that in those 8 years they didn't really see results. So now we have President Tinubu that just came into power on May 1st of 2023, and people are already demanding, for quick results. Do we have the right to ask for results, or we should actually give his government a lot more time? Because these problems even existed, before he came to power. But with his manifesto and the promises he made, maybe that's why people are, looking. Okay, the promises you made, where are those promises? You've not fulfilled them.
Apart from looking at his manifesto, you just look at the reality of the consequence of his policy. And for me, Nigerians have the right to demand for results, particularly concrete results. What has really happened to us, which bring many Nigerians to the street today, is hunger. And look at the policy of the government in that regard. Just two twin policies, subsidy removal, which lead to high cost of transportation, lead to high cost of goods and services, blow up or balloon our inflation. Then the forex exchange, talking about the naira to dollar exchanges. Although they are technical, I won't be able to do that because we are not doing economic analysis. That's an economist that you know me for. But the impact and effect of those policies is what is pushing Nigeria. And Nigerians were like, if we can pronounce it, a policy that affects us in a jiffy, before 1 year of you in office, you can also turn around that policy and make it good for us. That's what they are asking for him to do. So asking for time from Nigerians could also become a propaganda from the government, because the moment government say give us time, 4 years will elapse, that thing will not be done. Even if they end up doing anything around that, it will only affect few people. But going forward on this issue, it's not just for President Tinubu alone to act on this challenge of hunger. The state governors must also be pulled on their toe. We saw Rivers State governors talking, and I asked something. I said, does Rivers State governor have any plan to reduce food in the state? Does he have a farm? Now he's taking the message to the president. Is that the president alone that will act on the message? Meanwhile, the fallout, the windfall from subsidy removal is collecting it as a federal allocation. 13% derivative from oil is collecting
it's
it.
Also getting that.
So what has he been doing with those money to alleviate or to reduce cost of food in Port Harcourt? And Port Harcourt is a very expensive city, whereby things are very, including school fees, very expensive. So what has he been doing in that regard? Because when we focus so much, although we agree that the fault is from the federal government, but we are forgetting that the largesse that come out of foreign exchange, windfall from the subsidy, goes to the state governors. We are forgetting. So
how exactly do they distribute
and what are they using for their state, particularly in the area of food? I can say to you that no state governors in Nigeria has a farm, and we are talking about food, and they want to reduce price of food. So they are waiting for market women to reduce price of food. Meanwhile, they are not the one producing the food. So how would that work? So it's a question and it's a charge on our state governors, including the federal government, that to reduce food, as Nigerians are crying about hunger, you must go to farm. Government must own farm and produce food for Nigeria, not by importing food.
Okay, we have also an update here from Okemi Sinachi Mba. He'll be giving us an update on the bad governance protest from exactly where he's at. But we'll be trying to get to him. Let's go on with our conversation. We have something about the currency. Yes, we've gotten reports about businessmen who run their business on the dollar rate. But before we discuss on that, let's get to hear from Mba and updates on where exactly he's at. Good afternoon, Mba.
Hello.
Let us know your location and what exactly is going on there when it comes to the protest.
Okay. I'm from Bayelsa. I'm currently in Yenagoa, working from Yenagoa in Bayelsa State. Actually, this morning when I came out, I observed that people were, going about their normal businesses. There were the free movement of vehicular and tricycle movement. But I observed that at strategic junctions, there were presence of security agencies. They were being stationed there, talking about the civil defense, talking about the Nigerian police, and at the Tombia, which is a major landmark and a roundabout in Yenagoa. you will see the presence of the military men also stationed there. Actually, there was, would I say, a near zero protest as at that time, as at 8:30 to 9 a.m. this morning. But I observed that some protestants commenced from the Opolo axis of the Mbiama-Yenigua road, and they were marching towards the government house from the Opolo roundabout. But on getting to the Abis Mechanic Junction at Biobolo, they were stopped by police officers, a team of police officers. But they were insisting that they are going to carry out their civil rights. They have the right to protest and all that. But as that was going on, eventually, unexpected, there were a group of youths, community youths, that came from behind and attacked them. They were in a position to the protest, and it led to a crisis, a very serious crisis. That these other youths that came from behind, they were carrying planks, they were carrying bottles and different weapons, and it led to a very serious crisis that people have to run in different, take to their heels for their safety. And some people were wounded. Some people, sustained injuries. Some people they used bottles on them, and all that. So after that, everybody dispersed, and I think that is the only incident that occurred. Then these other youths that attacked, were also observed or confirmed. Not really confirmed, but were informed that some of these youths were mobilized, to prevent any protest in their communities. In the sense that they were asked not to allow any protest whatsoever within their community. So, and that was what really led to the attack on the protesters. So, apart from that, those who are in solidarity with the federal government and the state government.
State exactly you are at now? What state are you at the moment?
Bayelsa State.
Okay.
Yes. So that is the situation. Everywhere is calm as at now. Everywhere is calm. There's no problem. There are shops that were closed initially. Some of them have started opening, and everything has come back to normal. That's the situation here in Yenegua, Bayelsa State.
So is the protest over for today?
Yes, it's over for today.
Can you hear me, Mba? Is the protest over for today?
Yes, it is. It is over for today. It is over for today.
Some reports of violence there. So what was the security reaction like? Reaction of the security agents? Were there any spraying of tear gas, any shooting, any stoning, any reaction from the security agents?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Aside from the community clash that happened at Biobolo, but they took the situation. They brought the situation under control because they were there, and when everything happened, there wasn't any shooting of tear gas. It was just the youths that attacked the protesters, were the people that were exchanging bottles and all that. But aside from that, there is no situation that led to police resistance or maybe violence or anything apart from that.
For your updates, we really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, to end the show now, let us look at what long-run effects and short-term effects that the protests of today will have on Nigeria.
Definitely, from the economic side, today we can say that the economy has been paralyzed, partially paralyzed, because on account of states that participated in protests, up to 15, about them economic activities have been shut down. Like the last report we just reviewed right now from Bayelsa State, it shows that there are people who are against protests. That's why the protest became violent. And as the reporter said, the protests have ended. In Lagos, we are still seeing protests. In Kaduna, we are still seeing protests. Kano, we are still protests. Meaning the economic activities has been shut down. So in totality, the GDP that Nigerians were supposed to have recorded in terms of productivity today has been shut down. You can also record that the entire government bureaucracy in Abuja is already shut down, except for few sensitive ones like hospital and some sensitive areas, the security and the rest of them are functioning. Then I know the media is working, all media stations are on, and others little private. But banks, I'm not sure any banks will be opening, except for a few areas that are well guided that banks will open, and market also. So economically, we have lost. And over the week, one of the organization I normally partner with as part of my organization advocacy said that because of the protest, we may lose, if the protest run into 10 days, we may lose up to ₦1 trillion or thereabout. But I can say maybe at the end of today, the economy must have lost about 2 trillion. 2 billion or thereabout as a result of the current protest. Abuja alone must have lost some billions of naira as a result of the protest.
Not to talk about the international community, US, the UK, and Canada dishing out a report to their various citizens here in Nigeria to be as careful as possible. Of course, the immigration and passport offices have also been shut down. But let's take a look at if President Bola Tinubu would even listen to the grievances of the people. Or do you think he's a kind of president that actually listen? Because been waiting for a state broadcast, even days leading up to the protest, and none whatsoever. But let's watch out and see if in the coming days we'll get to hear something from him. What do you think?
I think the state broadcast or no state broadcast, what Nigerian wants is concrete feedback from the government. They have sent their message. Why? And one of the key message of the people is that subsidy should come back. But in my own regards, leg refinery work would have been a better message. But for the president, he will definitely make announcement. He will definitely make pronouncement. It will boil down to the same similar pronouncement that I'm making. We are releasing 10 tons of rice. We are releasing 1 million. This we are doing. Those are the things that the government, because the government will not tell you that concretely this is what they want to do for individual Nigerians. They only tell you they are doing this. And when they say that, don't expect them to come to Abuja and begin to distribute this. They will give it to the state governors and to distribute dispatch to the people. So for Abuja protestants, we should just stay on something that will help us collectively. That is a demand that the refineries must work between now and December, or between now and October. That would be a very concrete thing that the government will really want to do, because they know that there's fire on the mountain. Because from all we have seen so far, it means that Nigerians are waking up and they are waving up and they are saying what they think is right for the government. Hunger must go, but for hunger to go, government must sit right. And that's the message.
Government must sit right. One of the end bad governance protests, they proposed 10-day run. Let's see how long Nigerians can hold on the street chanting about hunger and other grievances to the government. Thank you so much for speaking with us here on Leadership TV. Thank you, Adefolari Olamide, for our political analyst, for staying with me here. And I'm still Cynthia Onwado. Bye for now.
for watching. For sponsorship, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast.